Hi, my name is Felicity Hacker, and I am a student at Arizona State University. Upon watching the TED Talk, Why Our Screens Make Us Less Happy, I discovered that I kept asking the same question. If our screens make us so unhappy, then what about them makes them so addictive? When I originally asked myself this question, I found myself wanting to understand more about it. Upon looking more deeply at my online database sources I used to find out more about my original gap question, I found that I was not able to quite get the results I needed in order to fill that gap. Since I understand the probable essential things that make screens so addictive, I came to another conclusion on my question that I had in mind. This question being, how do our screen addictions impact our daily lives and productivity? Since I found significantly more sources and background information on this question in particular, I was able to come to a few conclusions about screen addiction's impact on one's productivity. These conclusions include, but are not limited to, the need and constant presence of screens in one's daily life and the presence of constant notifications. Both of these feed into the instant gratification one gets from using screens, which lowers one's productivity. I also found that I had a few sub questions that feed into my gap question I'm asking. These questions being, how do stopping cues in media affect our happiness? And how does the lack of stopping cues affect how we interact with our media? Stopping cues are anything that takes one focus away from an object. For example, an example of a stopping cue would be Netflix asking if one would like to take a break from watching the next episode in a show. Often, stopping cues are not present in enough ways on screens in general. This lack of stopping cues can be seen in such applications like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and many others. These apps do not check in or have a certain timer or any sort of stopping cues that allow you to check in and realize how you're spending too much time on said applications. These apps only provide the instant gratification of scrolling until your brain finally cannot continue on any longer. In order for the level of productivity to be judged accurately, one must first know what productivity is. So, what is productivity exactly? Charles Steindl and Kevin J. Sturrow define productivity as the following two: 1. Real output per hour of work, and 2. Real output per unit of all inputs. What these essentially mean are that one's productivity can be defined by how much work one gets done, based on how much time one puts into one's work. If one's focus on work is constantly distracted and or postponed by the presence and distraction of screens, it is easy for one to see why one's input does not equal a large output as far as one's work goes. One specific and crucial reason that smartphones and other various screens are found to impact productivity is because of their crucial role in business and private areas of everyday life. This shows that while screens do have the potential and do sometimes put a damper on one's mental health and everyday functions, they are nevertheless expected in almost every aspect of our lives because of our careers and our secular society. These ways include and are not limited to professionally, academically, and personally. I can personally attest to the fact that my productivity has been decreased by the presence of screens within my academic life. Besides just going on Netflix or browsing the web, I often played Tetris in my sophomore theology class because we were supposed to take notes on our computers. Because of the easy access to the different websites I had on my computer, my mind tended to wander to the different pop ups that appeared on my screen, and I often found that I did not pay attention or get enough work done in the class when I should have. To juxtapose my sophomore Tetris experience, I can also personally attest to the fact that limiting my screen access has made me more productive. Just recently, in my Psychology 101 class, my teacher implemented an incentive program for extra credit, where if one downloaded this app called Flipped, they would receive extra credit if they used it correctly. How the app worked was that when one was in class, they would press a button on the app that would essentially just cut off all access to the different application on one's phone. My teacher told us that she found that the more the app was used by the students in her class, the higher the percentage their grade was. And I personally found that turning the app on when I needed to study helped me actually study and to not be distracted by the different notifications that would pop up on my phone. Technology and access to screens has a potential for greatness, and in general has the ability to make one more productive or productive in different ways. But while screens have the potential to create productivity, it becomes unhealthy when one uses screens and is distracted on a minute to minute basis. Within the Catholic faith, there is a period of time before Easter called Lent, when one who practices the faith is called to fast from different worldly practices and or materials. A few years ago during Lent, I gave up using my phone for anything except essential communication. During this time, I really struggled with not being able to use my phone, and I found that I often would pick up my phone, turn it on, only to have to turn it back off again. After a few weeks of not having minute to minute time on my phone, I found that I was doing things that I had not done since before I had gotten a phone. I was reading more, I was painting, and I was overall more productive in my academic life. This act of giving up my phone helped me to realize how unhealthy the attachment to my phone was, and it helped me to distance myself from my phone when I needed to be more productive, or just in general when I wanted to pray or meditate or do anything else. In general, a state of deep concentration characterized by positive emotions accompanying flow cannot be reached when we are constantly getting distracted. In my experience, when I have gone on phoneless retreats in the past, I have found myself to feel overall more relaxed, and I have found that my prayer life flowed more naturally. One big reason why one's productivity is impacted is because of the presence of notifications. We live in a society characterized by instant gratification. We send a text and it sends. And when a text takes a minute to send, we instantly become annoyed and often become frustrated. This is bad because it creates an idea that everything must be instantaneous and only increases the frustration of a user when technology, or really anything in their life, is too slow for them. The presence of these notifications on one various device has only furthered this problem. With this presence, one is not as productive, and because of back and forth switching, flow will never occur. When I study now, I use the flipped app that I talked about earlier, but also now I take it one step further. I purposely turn off my notification sounds on my phone, and I plug my phone somewhere far away from where I'm studying so that I do not hear nor see my phone make a notification. By doing this, I am not distracted by any sort of noises or notifications, and I get into a groove of studying that flows and allows for more retention of knowledge and more flow in my mind as well. Essentially, the impact of screens being used in one's daily life often decreases the productivity of the individual. What one can do to improve their productivity, as well as their mental health, is to do the following. Don't use your phone within your bedroom or the dining room. Turn off your phone when working and put it far away from you. Answer texts and emails at very specific times, and be physically present when family and friends are over. And one other thing that you can do, depending on how you get around in your daily life, your transportation style, is to look out the window when you're traveling and allow your mind to wander so that your flow and creativity will blossom. Thank you.